Well, I just asked the gentleman what they wanted to talk about, and Roy immediately said torpedo bats. So we'll talk about torpedo bats. We'll talk about the Twins' first 7 games or so. We'll talk about injuries. We'll talk about AAA, prospects, ownership, everything else here with Roy Smalley, former Twin star, and LaVelle E. Neal III, Star Tribune columnist and baseball guru. I'm also Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. This is part of Talk North. TalkNorth.com, the best way to listen to this show or any of our shows across the network. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's the easiest way to listen. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios, and we're presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages, Gigli. I just ordered some, and OnX Hunt. And we'll tell you more about those companies here in a second. Let's start with it, Roy. Torpedo bats. For or against, or just jealous that they exist now?
I just think it's interesting. I'm not for or against. I mean, I think any bat, a player can use any bat that feels good to them as long as it conforms to the rules, which these torpedo bats do. And I just think the whole concept, done by an MIT grad is interesting. And what they've done is they've moved the fat part of the bat, the barrel of the bat, away down toward the hitter's hands a little bit. And so, why would they do that? It results in a pretty weird looking bat, but it's interesting to me, why they would do that. When I was playing, they came out with the idea of cupping the end of the bat. You guys remember that?
Yep.
There was a cup on the end, and basically they took a few ounces out of the end of the bat where it doesn't. If you hit it on the end, it doesn't do anything anyway. And the result was, if you had a 32-ounce bat, they had to start with 34 ounces and take that, cup, make the cup. And then the 32 ounces gave you more weight in the barrel where you want to hit the ball, right? So, mass times velocity, right, is what force is, and then you want more force when the ball's contacted. Okay, that was the first attempt at saying, how can we get more mass where you hit the ball? Now think about, there's about 8 inches or so that make up what they call the sweet spot of the bat. That's where you make the best contact, that beautiful, beautiful sensation of hitting the ball a ton and you don't feel anything. It's just no vibration, no anything. It just jumps. The problem is that bats are, for the most part, are pretty top heavy. Big end of the bat heavy, right? So the feeling that a hitter has, when he stands up there and hefts the bat a little bit, is that you got all this weight down at the end, and you tend to then cast out. There's an old expression that the old timers use, throw the head, right? So you're throwing the head of the bat at the ball, and it's the opposite of what they're talking about now, which is stay inside the ball, have a flat swing plane, have the big end of the bat come down the path of the flight of the ball at kind of the same time as your hands, instead of flicking the head of the bat at it, because that's where all the sweet spot weight is. So what they've done is they've moved sweet spot and size and weight down. Two things have toward the hitter's hands. Two things have happened. First of all, to a lot of hitters, and you got to remember, hitting and the bat you use to hit with is all feel. Guys will use all kinds of different bats. They're going bad, they pick up somebody else's bat. But it's just, how do I feel? How does this feel in my hands right now? Many guys don't change. This is the bat they're always going to use, and good for him. Aaron Judge is one of those guys. He's not going to. Why would he change? He's going to hit 60 home runs. Why would he want a torpedo? But for a lot of guys, moving all of the mass closer to your hands makes the bat feel more balanced. So the one positive is, I just feel better with it in my hands. Well, that's a good thing. The second thing is, I'm speculating here. This is what's so interesting to me. I'm speculating that this will allow a hitter, if not absolutely, if not actually, at least to feel like he can stay inside the ball, inside the line of flight of the ball, and bring the sweet spot more directly down the line of flight, rather than having to try to come around and cast the big end, the sweet spot out in front. What does that do? That gives you more of a Tony Gwynn type of swing, a Luis Ariz type of swing, a Joe Mauer type of swing. They say that, the one guy did it because Volpe, the shortstop for the Yankees, was hitting the ball on the label all the time. Well, that's not good. I don't know if this makes a difference. If you just have a little more girth where the label is, I don't know that you're going to hit it that much better, maybe. But I think what's interesting is to see if it comes out that guys are taking more of that inside the ball approach, back at the ball, rather than casting the big end, because that's where all the weight is. That's what I'm really fascinated about this, to see if guys say, okay, I don't get if I get jammed a little bit. See, the biggest problem with hitting, the biggest bane of hitters, is their fear of getting jammed, right? They're always jumping out on fastballs and looking terrible on breaking balls and sliders and all that kind of stuff, because they don't want to hit, they don't get jammed on inside fastballs, and it messes up their whole approach. I'm just going to be really curious to see if this relaxes them just a little bit, so they're moving big end at down the line of flight of the ball at a better angle, because they have a little bit, because the bat's more balanced and they have more confidence that they're not going to get their bats sawed off with them with this new torpedo. I'm fascinated by the whole idea.
That is the best conversation about torpedo bats I have heard on any outlet in America. And now I think LaVelle and I should debate you based on all our skill hitting major league pitching.
Let me have it. Go ahead.
That's fascinating. That's great stuff, because we've heard a lot of people discuss the technology and the ethics and everything else. I can't add anything to what you just said. That's fascinating. Also makes me wonder about golf. The striving for distance has led to incredibly light golf clubs that you can whip through the hitting zone. And I just wonder, when a golf club is that light, does that make it easier to overswing or come over the top or something else? I think the best irons I ever hit were really old school, heavy steel shafted Titleists, and I think that might have helped me stay inside the ball.
Well, what's funny about that, the analogy to golf, I think, and hitting almost always works. And I think the analogy here is different golfers of different sizes and strengths and talents use different shafts. The shafts are the most important thing.
Right.
What's the shaft do for you? Is it working for you or against you? And I think that's kind of what they've done here, is that for some hitters, the shaft has changed now in this torpedo bat, and it may work better for certain hitters. If you're Joe Mauer or you're Tony Gwynn or you're Louis, then if you're Joe Mauer or Luis Ariz or Tony Gwynn, then you can have this hands inside the line of flight of the ball, big end coming down the path at the same time as your hands. You have so much talent that you can use just about any bat and get the sweet spot to the ball. Not all of us can say that. Not all of us can do that. And so I just think it's going to be interesting to see if for some hitters, as I said, it changes their confidence and their relaxation, their mind relaxation, their anxiety, and their swing path enough to help them. It's going to be really fun to watch.
That's fascinating.
There's a lot of thoughts going through my mind right now. One, anything that allows Jazz Chisholm to be on pace to hit 80 home runs needs to be looked at. Two, Corey Koski went on Twitter and said, my idea of a torpedo bat was choking up when I needed to. And then Justin Morneau said yesterday that hitting's about confidence. So if you think you have something that's giving you an advantage, it's going to help your confidence, and it ends up with hitting. So I think ultimately it's not the arrow, it's the archer. And the shaft that we're talking about should be the one that connects from your hands through your arms and up through your neck into your brain. I think hitters who are in the right headspace and remain confident have the greatest chance of having success.
You're absolutely right. I 100% agree with everything that you said, and all of your quotes are about. And Koski's got the right. He's absolutely got the right idea. When you choke up, you move the sweet spot closer to your hands. That's what you do, and you do it for a reason. You want to know. And you guys have heard me talk, and ad infinitum about this. I mean, you want to know where the big end of the bat is, where the sweet spot is. And when I say no, it's in quotes. You want your body and your hands to feel the big end coming through when your hands come through, and not dragging or casting out in front. So choking up is one way of doing that, and maybe the torpedo bat is another way of doing that. But the most important thing is, how's the bat feel in a guy's hands? Does that make him feel better?
Let's get to the Twins. That's great stuff. Thank you. That was even a better discussion than I expected, and I expected a good one. Let's get to what the Twins are doing. We're talking here on Friday morning after the Twins lost their home opener. They're 2-5. First, want to let you know, use the promo code Giggly North, Gigli North, to get 50% off your first online order at giggly.com, Gigli.com. Giggly THC beverages. I've been telling you about them because my wife and I love them. Just ordered some, and what did I order for myself? Paying my own money. My wife likes the iced tea with lemon. She likes the seltzer, especially the lime seltzer. I like the cocktails, especially the blueberry lemonade, but I like the mojito and the margarita and the mule as well. That's what I ordered. I ordered all that stuff because it tastes good. You can order it. And what I also love about this, the 10 milligram or whatever it is, THC, it'll hit you. I mean, it'll have an effect on you. The 5 milligram is kind of more a school night sip that'll just relax you, but it won't hit you hard. And I think the 10 THC is more for the weekends. So find the right flavor. I love them all, but find the one that appeals to you. Find the right dosage. Order at giggly.com. The delivery it'll get to you quickly. It'll taste good. You won't have hangovers. It's healthy. I highly recommend it, giggly.com. Also, have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that, or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs? That's where onX Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using onX for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, onX Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download onX Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onxmaps.com/hunt to get started. Thanks also to Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Enjoying the roller coaster spring weather? Record highs, then freezing cold, even snow. Spring sure has its twists and turns. What's next? Our hot, muggy summer. That means now is the time to schedule your AC tune-up, and for a limited time, it's 50% off. From tune-ups and repairs to new system installs, enjoy expert service and no surprise upfront pricing. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
All right, so they're 2-5. I found it really interesting that, listen, everybody in baseball, they're absolutely right to remind you that this is a very small sample size, that there are 155 games left, that, good teams have started poorly in the past. But I think that what's worrisome about this slow start is that it corresponds with the way they played at the end of last year. So, and it was also interesting talking to Byron Buxton. I asked him, what his mindset was, and he said, hey, I went through 2016. You can't panic, because we panicked in 2016 and ended up losing 100 games and getting everybody fired. Roy, what is your perspective on a 2-5 start right now for the Twins?
Early. I mean, it's early, and not in the trite sense. I mean, I just don't know yet. I watched the hitters, and I'm seeing some good things, and I'm seeing some not so good things. And I don't know that the second half of last season, when they swooned offensively, is their primary characteristic. That hasn't, if they hadn't hit all year last year and now they start out this way, I think we'd look at it and go, well, this is just who they are. I don't know. I don't think that last year's swoon was, who they are. So I'm gonna give them a little bit of a break here in terms of how much time before I make a definitive decision about they're in trouble, in this spot or that spot. I will say though, what I've said before, and you guys know this, my concern all along has been with the lineup, and it's only because of the same thing I've always talked about. They've got a really nice lineup when everybody is swinging it more at the top end of what they're going to do during the course of the season. They don't have a great lineup when several players are not swinging it very well. They don't have somebody, with the exception of Buck periodically or Royce Lewis, who can carry them through a week or two when the rest of the lineup's not swinging the bat very well. They don't have that. They've got a lot of professional, purposeful hitters that can score some runs when the majority of them are swinging the bats pretty well. But they are going to go through streaks because of the nature of who they are. Because Buxton is streaky, and Wallner is streaky, and we can go through just about everybody and say they're going to have some times when they're not swinging the bats well, and they're going to score 2 runs a game.
Yeah, I was thinking about both you guys yesterday when I watched Nelson Cruz go out to and throw out the first opening pitch of the season. I just think it's hard to put together an order when you don't have a reliable force in that 3 or 4 spot. I think we've talked about that many times here on this podcast. I think that's the one thing that holds this lineup back. I will say this too, and we also had history is a good teacher. Last year the Twins started out 7-13, and then they won 12 straight games. Then the offense started scuffling, and I saw Rocco in the clubhouse in Pittsburgh in June, and he said if it wasn't for that 12-game stretch, we'd have the worst offense in baseball, LaVelle. He says, we need to start hitting the ball. I don't know what to say. I don't know how else to describe it. We got to start hitting the ball. And then about 3 days later, the Twins took off offensively, and that's what carried them through the summer into August. So I tend to think that that's the team that this team is capable of being, more the one that played in June and July of last year. So the patience here, Roy's right. Also a little concerned about the rotation because it hasn't come out as strong as we hoped it to be. Pablo scuffled in the opener, pitched much better against the White Sox. Ober giving up 3-run homers. Paddock looking awful, giving up 3 bombs in 1 start. And Joe Ryan's got no walks but 4 hit batters. So there's just some weird stuff going on with this rotation. So it's kind of, once you think about the Twins being 2-5 at this point, you can see the reasons why.
Yes. All right. Let's get to more Twins. Let's also get to our Booze and Blues segment we do every week. First, I want to thank a great Minnesota company, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And here's Talk North Star, John Krasinski on True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I've been telling you about it for months now. Just a life-changing experience for me to go to True Vision and have LASIK surgery this summer. Everything is easier for me after having LASIK surgery. I don't have the hassles of contacts and eyeglasses. I don't have to worry about going in for annual appointments to get the eyes checked, and also to make sure that I have the latest and greatest style of glasses, and I'm not looking like some washed up 46-year-old like I am, trying to stay ahead of the trends. I don't have that anymore. I'm just going around free and clear without anything on my face. And that's all thanks to the good folks at True Vision. When you go into True Vision, you will immediately notice how welcoming, how warm, how friendly, and how knowledgeable the staff is there. They get you in, they get you checked out, they find the right vision correction options for you. And then Dr. Chu is just world class in how he helps you through the procedure, how he makes sure that he gets you taken care of, and like he did with me. And I've had zero issues with my vision since I had the surgery in July. And I just keep kicking myself and wishing I would have done it 10 years ago. So go to truevision.com and set up your consultation. Tell them the John Krasinski Show sent you, and get on with your life. Make it easier on yourself, and just get to the point where you can kick your own self in the butt and say, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
LaVelle, anything new to talk about with the ownership situation?
Nothing. It's been really quiet ever since the news that came out a couple of weeks ago. So even just talking to people around the ballpark, the last couple yesterday and Wednesday when I was there for the food tasting event, everything's kind of quiet down. So waiting to see if the one group that believed it made an offer that was turned down can improve their offer and come up with another plan, or if someone else steps forward. So we're kind of a holding pattern. I thought opening day was weird because I was looking for any sign of a Polat family member at the ballpark. I didn't see any. No one on the field before the game, I don't think. I didn't see anybody walking through the concourse or anywhere close to their press box. So, because I was thinking this could be the last time Polat family will be at the opening day. Dave St. Peter purposely left town.
Yep.
To be with his son because he didn't want to be a distraction, because he wants the transition to take place without him. He's trying to, I think he was keeping him from himself because he knew if he was at the ballpark, he would start acting like a president again. So he forced himself to leave town so that he didn't have to worry about that. So it was just kind of a weird, there's a weird backdrop to the start of this season.
It has been. One more, let's offer a positive. Okay, because it's never all negative. It's never all positive with a baseball team. There are always different players going different directions. If you want to be encouraged about this team, I think the fact that Byron Buxton had his healthiest offseason in a decade, had his healthiest spring training in a decade or so, and now just looks great physically. He's running hard. He's not restricted. They aren't giving him extra days off. They aren't worrying about him. They're not playing. They're just letting him play like a normal player. I do, Roy, think that's a good sign.
It's a great sign. And every day he goes out there and does all those things that you say, running hard and feeling good and diving and taking good cuts. Every day builds on itself, and the next day is better, and next day is better, and next day is better. And, see him stealing some bases, and diving for balls in the outfield and most importantly, just being in the lineup every day. I think that will be the most important thing for him this year at the plate is just no interruptions. Whether you're going good or you're going bad, just keep running out there, running up to the batter's box, and keep swinging. Keep that talent in the batter's box every day, and then just see what happens by the end of the year, because he'll go through fewer bad streaks at the plate probably if that's the case, if he's playing every day and not being interrupted. Either way, I mean, when you're not going well, it's very rare that you say, okay, I'm out now for 2 weeks because I've got some little ding here and there. But so when I come back, I will have forgotten how I was not swinging the bat well. I'll just jump back into positive. It doesn't work that way as a hitter in the big leagues. You just have to grind, and you can't grind if you get interrupted. That's just not the way it works. So all good about Byron so far with how healthy and how strong he looks. And I mean, just knock on wood, my wish this year for the Twins, and I've already missed my first wish because Royce Lewis didn't even start the season. But my wish was that Correa and Lewis and Buxton, all played 140 games and minimum, and we'll see about Royce. But so far, so good for Buck.
Oh, one thing I want to throw in at the end too, because Jim, you asked me a question last week about who's going to get healthy first. After talking with a couple of front office people, it looks like Brock Stewart would be the first of the three among himself, Royce Lewis, and Brooks Lee to come back. The only thing with Stewart is that he gets a little body conscious. So if he wakes up with like a tweak in his finger, he gets a little nervous that it's going to lead to something worse, and they have to be careful and work around that. But he's starting to progress. Brooks, the thing about Royce is that while they're scratching their heads over the number of soft tissue injuries he's suffered, that he's a fast healer. So they think he's going to beat Brooks Lee back. Lee may be another month because they want to be careful with his back. But Royce should return before that because he's starting to get ramped up right now. So it should be Stewart first, followed by Lewis and Lee over the next month.
Good stuff. Hey, if you listen to TalkNorth.com, check out Mark Rosen's Sports Monday. Mark has joined our staff. He's going to do a weekly show. He's also going to MC our Talk North Sports Report roundtables when we have those periodically downtown Minneapolis at Parley Kitchen and Bar. Thanks for listening. We do appreciate it. Let's go to Booze and Blues. I'm going to start this segment this week, not with a recommendation, but with a question for quality liquor. Whiskey, tequila, whatever, that you actually can sit and sip without a mixer. Good enough that you don't have to hide the flavor with a bunch of sugar or additives. What's the price point at which you start experiencing diminishing returns? In other words, I've had the experience the last year or so where I'll go into a liquor store, I'll be kind of thinking about what I want to get, how much I want to spend. An expert will come over and say, hey, what are you looking for? What do you like? And they'll upsell me to something that's maybe 20, 30% more than I was going to spend because they tell me that this is better than that. And then I'll go home and I'll drink it and I go, that's not really better than that. Might not even be as good as that. So I'm wondering, and I'll start it off. I think for a good whiskey and tequila, for sipping, if you get up around the $60, maybe $70 mark, you might be kind of maxing out how good something, and this is leaving out the stuff that might cost thousands of dollars. That's probably nectar of the gods. I'm talking about on the shelf in your local liquor store pick. I feel like one of my favorite scotches are like $60-$70, and I feel like if I spend extra to get something somebody recommends, it's not really any better. LaVelle, why don't you start off? What do you think?
I was going to say $75 is probably my cutoff, and that's about the price of Little Jane. Which is a bourbon that I like and was hardly endorsed to me by former Twins bench coach, now Pittsburgh Pirates manager. And that runs about $74, $75. I'm fortunate enough to know someone who owns a liquor store where I can get Blanton's that's not outrageously overpriced. So I can get that for about $60. I know Jim's not very high on Blanton's. I think it's still pretty solid.
No, I'm not down on Blanton's. I just think that they're even better at marketing than they are at making whiskey. That's all.
No, yeah, I mean, you make the cap a collector's item, and it becomes like a race to see how fast you can spell the name Blanton's, But yeah, I think 75 is my cutoff, and you can get a lot of great bourbons. I was going to bring up the Michter's American whiskey today because I tasted it. It's great because it's got like a combination of fruity and sweet taste going in. A little bit of kick at the end, but overall it's pretty solid, and that's like $38-$40. So I think you could get a lot of great bourbon for 75 and under. I would imagine wine and tequila as well.
What do you think, Roy? What's the point of diminishing returns?
Well, I think that I think you guys are both in my neighborhood in terms of $75, maybe $80. And I'll go a different direction. You're talking about bourbon a little bit. I think it's really the case with tequila, and I started buying tequila in Mexico a couple of decades ago, and that's where I first discovered Clase Azul. And Clase Azul is a wonderful tequila. I bought it in Mexico for $50, and the proprietor of this shop, this family-owned tequila shop down there, gave me a taste of it, and I had never had anything like that before. And so I said, okay, I'll take a bottle of that. And he said, well, if you like that, you would like this even better. And he brought out a bottle of Don Fulano. And I said, well, how much is that? He said, well, it's $100. And now remember, this is, I don't know, 20 years ago. $100 in Mexico 20 years ago that was a lot of money. And I said, well, can I have a taste of that? He goes, no, I can't open $100. I'll give away Clase Azul sips to sell that, but I can't open the $100 bottle. And I said, but he said, I promise you it's better. And I bought it. And he was right. I mean, but what it reminds me of, two things. What it reminds me of is sipping is in the taste buds of the beholder, right? So your guys' discussion about Blanton's is kind of right there. I'm a Blanton's fan. I don't collect the tops. I just like the bourbon. That's what I like. But tequila, Clase Azul is now. You go into a liquor store, and Clase Azul now is $125, $130, $140. And that's too much. I mean, it's way past the threshold. Don Fulano is not as much as Clase Azul here anymore because it's not as well known and not marketed the same. Doesn't have a beautiful white and blue porcelain bottle. And so you actually, I don't remember what Don Fulano is now, but I don't know that it's over $100. But here's my recommendation for tequila in our price range. Adictivo. It's Adictivo. Adictivo. It is. It can stand up next to any of them. It has no additives. The Cuervos and some of the bigger ones now. They're putting all kinds of stuff in their tequila to get to a certain taste. And it's not like you have to find necessarily organic tequila, but you got to find stuff that is just 100% agave, and they're telling the truth about that, and there's nothing else in there. And Adictivo, I think you can get around our price point. And again, it's in the taste buds of the beholder, but I would put that up against just about anything that costs $50 to $100 more.
That's a great recommendation. I will add one caveat to this discussion. My wife and I were in Mexico on a trip. I was in the east coast of Mexico, and we were in a little town. I think it was Playa del Carmen, and we ended up taking a walk around the town, and there was just a beautiful, like a work of art tequila shop. It looked just gorgeous.
I've been in it. If you're talking about Playa del Carmen, I've been in it.
It's beautiful. And we walked in there, and they are giving samples, and we tasted a couple and was like, okay, that's the best tequila I've ever had. Then the guy's like, okay, you really want something good? Try this. $500 a bottle. I'll give you a small taste each, right? We tasted it. We're like, okay, that is the best thing I've ever put in my body of any genre. It's incredible. It was like the best tequila and the best bourbon you've ever had combined in one drink. And we knew that, $500 a bottle for a sucker. So we talked them down, way down below that, less than 50% of that. And we said, okay, we're on vacation. We're going to splurge. We just, like the rest of our vacation, we just kind of sat around the beach drinking that tequila. It was like the whole vacation was made. It was so good. And I went back to the shop and said, okay, how many can we buy? I said, I think it was, you could buy 2 or 3 bottles and take them back in your luggage. We brought them back, and you can't find it in the United States, which is probably good because I don't think I could afford to drink it all the time.
Yeah, not with what you have to pay in the United States. You'd lost all your discount there.
Yes. But so there are some exceptions out there that you might want to splurge on, but I think we hit the sweet spot. If you spend, you can spend under 100 and get really good stuff, and you can spend over 100 and you can be disappointed in some cases. Good stuff, Roy. Enjoyed it. Thank you. Let's hope the Twins give us something interesting to talk about in next week's show. Thanks to everyone who listens. We do appreciate it. For LaVelle, Neal, Roy Smalley, and Jim Souhan, this is Chin Music, and thanks for listening.